Most of the time we think of jerky as being from deer or elk or a cow, something like that. But one of my new favorite meat sources for jerky is actually goose. I don't particularly like goose anyway. I've had it cooked, but having some goose jerky is fantastic, and it's a great way to enjoy your game throughout the rest of the year. So you can be sitting fishing or camping or at a soccer game eating goose jerky and remembering the day that you killed a bunch of geese. It's good stuff. So here's our goose recipe. Check it out. Here's the meat cutting process. I'm trimming off all of the white fascia type stuff. And Jamie is cutting up the thin jerky size. That's not thin. Jamie's cutting up the thin, there we go, jerky size pieces like that. So this is kind of the very, very first step of the process. So we have 7 geese worth of jerky cut up here and here that we will then soak in milk, put in Ziplocs, soak them in milk for 24 hours, just overnight basically, whenever we get to them next afternoon or so. And then we'll show you the next steps. We'll soak those in milk, put them in the fridge, let them sit. We have a revision. I was told that it's easier if you put it in a bowl, which takes a little bit more milk, but then you can swish the meat around while it's in the fridge and such, and make sure you get all of the meat. The milk helps with the gamey flavor, helps pull the blood out, and goose especially has a strong gamey flavor, kind of like deer, so it helps. So you can use this trick with steak, all that stuff, but with the jerky, especially with the goose, it really helps. Okay, day 2 on the jerky. It's been soaking in the fridge in the milk, and so what Jamie has done is she has pulled the meat out. She let it soak on a paper towel for a little bit just to kind of soak up some of the extra moisture.
After dumping out the milk.
Well, duh. And she just put some of this cure and seasoning cure on it. Got that at Sportsman's. You can pick that up pretty much anywhere. And there are instructions somewhere inside on here. There's some instructions and more specific stuff on the inside that you can follow, and then you just kind of tweak it as you learn the flavoring and stuff. So a lot of your flavoring will come from this, and then you can flavor it differently if you want to add some more sugar or spice or whatever to it. But right now this cure just helps pull all the moisture out of the meat, so this will go back in the fridge, right?
Yes, but I've actually added about a cup of brown sugar to this amount, so it's probably 3 pounds of meat or so. And I added a cup of brown sugar just to make it not quite as peppery. So it'll go back in the fridge till the morning.
So the meat has been curing now for basically 24 hours. Really, we just try to get it overnight and then lay it out on the racks, and Jamie will dab them with a paper towel. Is that right? No, she'll not dab them with a paper towel, so they go straight into the oven now.
Yes. So I'm putting...
The oven is set at 325, and what we do with that is basically cook the goose meat, because like poultry, it's got to get up to a certain internal temperature. So actually cook the goose meat till it gets up to 160, which with thin pieces of meat does not take very long at all. And what that will do is allow the bacteria to be cooked out so your jerky will last longer. And then as soon as it gets to 165, which is not very long, you'll turn your oven to the lowest temperature it can go, crack the door open, and let the jerky sit in there just drying. And then we're at the drying stage. So you want to cook it first to make sure you kill that bacteria so your jerky will last longer, and then go to the drying stage, which is lowest, 125, 150, 100, whatever the lowest setting. But prop the door open, that way you get airflow in there. We'll show you when we get there.
I'm putting the thicker pieces of meat on one tray, and I'm gonna let that one cook first, and then I'll put the thinner pieces over here on this tray. And you want to try to give them a little bit of room so they don't all cook together.
You don't want them touching each other because you need air getting between all the different pieces of meat, so you try to keep them from laying on top of each other and so on. So the thick side has cooked to internal temperature. We'll just confirm it with the thermometer. Find one of the thicker pieces. The thicker pieces on this one are actually the goose tenderloins. It's right under the breast meat.
So they've been in here about 6.5 minutes or so. Obviously you can gauge your
I can't read that. What does it say?
sorry. That says 140. 6 to 10 minutes is a good ballpark range. But obviously start with the lower time and then bump up from there if it needs it.
Internal temperature's right, so we will lower the oven to as low as our oven will go, and then leave the door cracked and let the temperature inside the oven cool down to that 175, and then we will actually leave the oven cracked here. So basically they're just drying with heat, and we'll leave that for about an hour or so, and then we'll pull them and we'll show you that. They've been drying under heat, and we'll let these dry overnight, and then they will be tasties. Little tasties goose jerky. Good morning, jerky people. Okay, check this out. You can see it dried very nicely through the night, and actually looks like jerky now. If I break one of these apart, like jerky. And it is delicious. So, if you have any questions, you can comment below. But this jerky process is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. We do basically the same thing for deer and elk as well. We'll catch you next time. Oh, sorry, saw a bird. Bye.